The Dragon Ball Z movies are more than just side stories. They introduce some of the most intense and powerful villains in the series separate from the main timeline. From ancient demons and lost Saiyans to dangerous androids and cosmic threats, I'll be going through every Z movie villain one by one to explain their story.
I told you, I will never die!
Garlic Jr., a power-hungry immortal, served as the main villain in Dragon Ball Z Movie 1, Dead Zone. Once the son of Garlic, a demonic contender who tried for the role of Earth's guardian centuries prior, Garlic Jr. sought vengeance after his father's ambitions were crushed by Kami. Driven by hatred for both Kami and humanity, Garlic Jr. amassed power over the years, ultimately gathering the 7 Dragon Balls to wish for immortality. Unlike typical villains who desired conquest or destruction, Garlic Jr. craved eternal life to ensure that his reign would last forever. With his wish granted, he opened the Dead Zone, a dark vortex capable of trapping enemies in an eternal void. Garlic Jr. captured Goku's infant son, Gohan, in a ploy to draw out the Z-Fighters and assert his power. However, his arrogance proved to be his downfall. Goku, Piccolo, and Kami confronted him directly in a climactic battle. Though he demonstrated impressive strength and resilience due to his immortality, Garlic Jr. ultimately underestimated the group's combined efforts and Gohan's hidden potential. In a sudden burst of latent rage, Gohan shattered Garlic Jr.'s castle and sent him spiraling into the very dead zone he created. Trapped for eternity, the immortal villain's ambition ironically became his prison. That is, until he escaped after the battle with Frieza.
Is that all you've got? Your pathetic planet is about to die!
Dr. Wheelo, once a brilliant but controversial scientist, is the main villain in movie 2. Decades before the events of the film, Dr. Wheelo was celebrated for his scientific genius, but his obsession with achieving physical and intellectual perfection led to dangerous and unethical experiments. When his body was destroyed in an avalanche during one of his experiments, his devoted assistant, Dr. Cochin, preserved Wheelo's brain and placed it in a colossal, mechanized biosuit within a hidden lab buried in the icy mountains. There, he waited for the perfect body to house his brilliant mind. Believing Master Roshi to still be the world's strongest martial artist, Dr. Wheelo dispatched bio warriors to retrieve him, only to be disappointed by the old master's decline. When he learned of Goku's incredible power, Wheelo became fixated on claiming Goku's body for his own. His mutated creations were unleashed upon the Z-Fighters in an attempt to test their strength and wear them down. As the battle escalated, Wheelo himself joined the fray, wielding devastating psychic powers and overwhelming brute strength with his titanic mechanical form. Despite his massive size and telekinetic abilities, he was no match for the combined might of Goku, Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin. Goku's use of the Spirit Bomb proved to be Wheelo's undoing, destroying both his mechanical shell and his twisted ambitions.
Kakarot, you are a disgrace to your people. Thousands of years of evolution and you cast it aside for a multitude of weaklings.
Turles, a rogue Saiyan warrior and former low-class soldier, is the main villain in movie 3. Surprisingly similar in appearance to Goku, Turles represented what Goku could have become had he embraced his Saiyan heritage and mission to conquer planets. Cold, calculating, and driven by a lust for power, Turles traveled the galaxy with a small crew of elite mercenaries known as the Turles Crusher Corps. His sinister plan brought him to Earth, where he sought to plant the Tree of Might, a parasitic alien tree that devoured a planet's life force and produced a single fruit capable of exponentially increasing the consumer's power. Turles had already ravaged countless worlds, leaving behind barren husks in his wake. His henchmen engaged Earth's defenders to buy time for the tree to grow. While his team battled Goku's allies, Turles confronted Goku himself, amused by their identical looks, but disgusted by Goku's refusal to embrace his Saiyan heritage. After consuming the fruit from the Tree of Might, Turles' power skyrocketed, allowing him to overpower Goku even in his Kaioken state. Yet, it was Goku's will and connection to Earth's remaining energy that proved helpful. By forming a spirit bomb drawn from the life force that hadn't yet been consumed, Goku unleashed a final, devastating attack that destroyed both Turles and the monstrous tree he had planted.
Yesterday you might have had a chance, but thanks to the Dragon Balls, you're fighting Lord Slug in his prime!
Lord Slug, an ancient and tyrannical Namekian warlord, is the main villain in movie 4. Born as a super Namekian, Slug was exiled from planet Namek due to his immense power and evil nature. nature. Over the centuries, he carved a path of destruction across the cosmos, leading a technologically advanced army and conquering countless planets. By the time he reached Earth, Slug was decrepit and near death, but upon collecting the Dragon Balls, he wished for his youth to be restored, regaining both his vitality and terrifying strength. Unlike Piccolo, a fellow Namekian who had embraced Earth's values, Slug represented the dark potential of their race, cold, brutal, and bent on domination. His elite squad of henchmen served him with loyalty and cruelty. Once on Earth, Slug deployed his forces to terrorize cities and terraform the planet into a new base of operations by manipulating Earth's climate, plunging it into an unnatural, frozen darkness. Slug quickly proved his superiority by defeating Goku and his allies with ease. But during battle, despite Slug's transformation into a giant form post his fight with Goku as a false Super Saiyan, Piccolo realized the truth about Slug's origins and relied on Gohan for help. Upon discovering Slug's weakness to high-pitched frequencies, an inherent trait of all Namekians, Gohan used his whistling to weaken the tyrant. Goku used a spirit bomb formed from the last reserves of Earth's energy to obliterate Slug, ending his terror among the cosmos.
Frieza deserved to die if he got beat by a weakling like you. I am the supreme master of this universe.
Cooler, the older brother of Frieza, is the main villain in movie 5. Unlike his impulsive and arrogant younger brother, Cooler was colder, more calculating, and possessed a ruthless strategic mind. Though he once witnessed Goku's Saiyan space pod escape the destruction of planet Vegeta, he chose not to interfere, seeing the mission as Frieza's responsibility. Years later, when he learned of Frieza's death at the hands of a Saiyan on Earth, Cooler's pride and sense of superiority compelled him to confront the warrior who had embarrassed his bloodline. Accompanied by his elite strike team, the Cooler Armored Squadron, Cooler made his way to Earth for revenge. The squad decimated landscapes, cornering Goku and his allies in a relentless hunt. Goku, caught off guard and wounded while protecting Gohan, found himself at the mercy of Cooler's overwhelming strength. Unlike Frieza, Cooler had unlocked a final transformation, an advanced fifth form that granted him immense power and a fearsome new appearance. In this form, Cooler dominated the battlefield, outmatching Goku even after he recovered. But as the Earth itself suffered under Cooler's wrath, Goku's rage ignited. Tapping into the full power of a Super Saiyan, Goku turned the tide, launching a devastating assault that overwhelmed Cooler and sent him hurtling into the sun. Even as he burned, Cooler's final thoughts were filled not with fear, but with disbelief, unable to comprehend how a low-level Saiyan could bring down the might of his lineage.
Super Saiyans, yes, but monkeys all the same. You're still all show and no substance.
Metal Cooler, the reborn and mechanized form of Cooler, is the main villain in movie 6. After his defeat at the hands of Super Saiyan Goku and his presumed death in the sun, Cooler's remains were discovered by the sentient, planet-sized machine known as the Big Getty Star, a living, cybernetic intelligence that roamed the galaxy assimilating technology and organic matter. Merging with the core of this colossal entity, Cooler was revived as a cybernetic being, his consciousness fused with the star's systems. No longer bound by biology, he gained the ability to replicate his mechanical body indefinitely, creating endless copies of himself to serve as extensions of his will. Driven by both revenge and the Big Getty Star's programming to consume and control, Metal Cooler set his sights on New Namek, intending to drain the planet's energy and use its life force to sustain the star's expansion. Goku and Vegeta arrive to confront this threat, only to be overwhelmed by Metal Cooler's enhanced strength and relentless assault. In his metallic form, Cooler possessed increased durability, regeneration, and adaptability. Each time he was damaged, his body self-repaired instantly, forcing the Saiyan duo to escalate their power again and again. Even after Goku and Vegeta managed to destroy a single Metal Cooler in a hard-fought battle, they were horrified to see hundreds more emerge from the canyons, revealing that the true villain was not a single entity, but a legion. Captured and restrained within the Big Getty Star, they learned that Cooler's mind had been replicated and linked to the main computer, enabling him to mass-produce endless bodies. In a final act of resistance, the two Saiyans used a combined energy overload to sabotage the star's systems from within, causing a chain reaction that destroyed both the Big Getty star and every iteration of Metal Cooler.
War, segregation, hatred. Is that what you've done with your free will, boy? Don't you lecture me with your $30 haircut. Goku dies.
Android 13, a deadly remnant of Dr. Giro's legacy, is the main villain in movie 7. Even after Dr. Giro's death at the hands of his own creations, his supercomputer continued operating deep beneath the Earth, silently executing his final directive: destroy Goku at all costs. The computer's continued work resulted in the activation of 3 new androids, 13, 14, and 15, each designed to assess, track, and eliminate Goku using advanced combat algorithms and overwhelming force. Androids 14 and 15 struck first, attacking Goku in the middle of a crowded shopping district and forcing the Z-Fighters, including future Trunks and Vegeta, into an immediate confrontation. The trio of Saiyans managed to hold their own, but the true threat emerged when Android 13 arrived on the scene, calm, composed, and lethal, with a southern accent and unwavering focus on his target. After Vegeta and Trunks successfully destroyed androids 14 and 15, the fight took a dark turn. Android 13 absorbed their remains, triggering a transformation into Super Android 13, a huge, blue-skinned monster with a dramatic spike in power and aggression. In this form, 13's intelligence became secondary to his programming, driven by pure instinct to kill Goku. He easily overpowered the Z-Fighters, brushing off their coordinated attacks and punishing them with devastating energy blasts and brute force. Despite their Super Saiyan transformations, Goku and his allies were pushed to their limits. In a desperate attempt, Goku created a spirit bomb, gathering energy from the planet. Holding the attack in base form, he absorbed the energy into his Super Saiyan state, allowing him to unleash a single, powerful strike. The blow obliterated Super Android 13 and shut down Dr. Giro's computer for good.
If you had just let me kill you all before, you wouldn't be dealing with this pain now. You're all complete and utter waste of Saiyan blood.
Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, is the main villain in movie 8. Born with an extraordinary power level that far exceeded any known Saiyan infant, including Prince Vegeta, Broly was feared even as a newborn. His uncontrollable power triggered paranoia in King Vegeta, who deemed him a threat to Saiyan rule and ordered his execution. Broly survived the attempt on his life and the destruction of planet Vegeta alongside his father Paragus, who harbored deep resentment toward King Vegeta's bloodline. Over the years, Paragus raised Broly in secret, using a mind control device to suppress his son's unstable rage while plotting vengeance against the Saiyan monarchy. Paragus lured Vegeta and the Z-Fighters to a distant planet under the false pretense of rebuilding a new Saiyan homeworld. Once there, the trap was sprung. Broly, seemingly calm and quiet at first, began to unravel as his suppressed fury surfaced, triggered by Goku's voice, which unknowingly haunted him since their birth. The mind control device failed to contain Broly's immense power, and he transformed into the legendary Super Saiyan, a towering, berserk warrior with a uniquely muscular frame and green aura. In this form, Broly's strength surpassed that of all the Z-Fighters combined. He tore through Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, future Trunks, and Gohan with sadistic ease, reveling in the destruction and chaos. Unlike other Saiyans, Broly didn't fight for pride or purpose. He was a force of nature, fueled purely by rage and instinct. Even Vegeta, paralyzed by the realization that Broly was the true Saiyan of legend, hesitated to fight him. The tide only turned when Goku, drawing energy from his allies, landed a desperate final punch directly to Broly's stomach, a concentrated blow that channeled their combined strength into a single point. Severely wounded, Broly was launched into space as the planet crumbled beneath them.
It's been so long since I've snapped someone's neck.
BoJack, a ruthless space pirate and the leader of the Galaxy Soldiers, is the main villain in movie 9. Long ago, Bojack and his crew terrorized the cosmos, conquering planets and killing all who stood in their way. Their reign of destruction was so extreme that the 4 Kai of the galaxy intervened, ultimately imprisoning Bojack beneath the surface of a distant star, sealed away for eternity. However, when Goku sacrificed himself to defeat Cell and King Kai's planet was destroyed in the aftermath, the cosmic seal containing Bojack was shattered, inadvertently unleashing him back into the universe. With his freedom restored, Bojack set his sights on Earth, arriving during a grand intergalactic martial arts tournament hosted by Hercule. Disguising himself and his warriors as competitors, Bojack quickly revealed his intentions by transforming the tournament into a deadly battlefield. His elite crew overpowered the Z-Fighters, isolating and overwhelming them one by one. Gohan emerged as the final line of defense, fighting valiantly but outmatched by Bojack's raw strength and ruthless tactics. Unlike other villains driven by revenge or conquest, Bojack fought for chaos and domination, taking pleasure in watching his enemies suffer. He pushed Gohan to the brink, taunting him and brutally crushing his hope, until Goku, watching from the other world, briefly intervened by warping in and striking Bojack to save his son. Inspired and enraged, Gohan tapped into the full fury of his Super Saiyan 2 form, unleashing a wave of power that obliterated Bojack's lieutenants and finally Bojack himself in a climactic explosion.
I've had enough!
Not until you lie dead at my feet.
Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, returned as the main villain in movie 10. Thought to have died after being launched into space by Goku's final attack, Broly survived, crash landing on Earth and falling into a deep coma. Frozen beneath a layer of ice for 7 years, his body remained intact while his hatred for Goku continued to smolder in his subconscious. It was this residual rage that reawakened him when he heard cries from Goten, similar to the echoes of Kakarot's voice as a child. Broly awoke in a frenzy, his mind still clouded by his obsession with the one Saiyan he couldn't destroy. Now a wild, feral version of his former self, Broly's mental state had deteriorated during his absence. He emerged from the ice with a single purpose: to annihilate anything connected to Goku. Goten, Trunks, and Videl accidentally stumbled upon the sleeping giant while searching for the Dragon Balls, and their discovery reignited Broly's fury. Without hesitation, he launched into a brutal assault, forcing Goten and Trunks into a desperate game of survival. Gohan soon arrived to help them, but even his Super Saiyan strength wasn't enough to stop Broly's onslaught. His power grew increasingly unstable as the battle dragged on, his body radiating with his signature aura and overwhelming might. But it was the spirit of Goku, reaching from the other world during Goten's plea for help, that turned the tide. In a climactic moment, Goku briefly appeared alongside his sons. The 3 Saiyans, united in body and spirit, launched a combined Kamehameha that overpowered Broly's final attack and engulfed him in a blinding surge of energy. Unable to withstand the blast, Broly was obliterated, his legacy seemingly brought to an end by the very family he was consumed with destroying. Broly, or rather his grotesque clone, resurfaced in a new form as the villain of movie 11. Though the original legendary Super Saiyan had seemingly been annihilated, remnants of his DNA were recovered by a wealthy, power-hungry bioengineer named Lord Jaguar, who financed a private biotechnology lab with the aim of creating unstoppable bioweapons. Working alongside disgraced scientist Dr. Coley, they cloned Broly using genetic samples and intended to mass-produce clones of the galaxy's strongest warriors. However, the original Broly's essence proved too volatile to contain. The clone was submerged in a vat of a specialized biofluid meant to keep it stable, but a lab malfunction caused the containment to break. When the fluid made contact with the clone, it mutated Broly's body, transforming him into a deformed, oozing monstrosity, Bio Broly. Stripped of his Saiyan pride and humanity, this abomination retained the original's immense power and primal rage, though his mind had been reduced to a near animalistic state. Goten, Trunks, Android 18, and Krillin were drawn into the chaos after being invited to Jaguar's Island under false pretenses. Unprepared for the resurrection of such a powerful foe, they struggled to contain Bio Broly's violent attack. Broly's body adapted and began to spread like a virus, threatening to escape into the wider world. The heroes, however, turned the environment against him. Discovering that seawater caused the biofluid to harden into stone, they lured the creature into a massive tidal wave triggered by Goten and Trunks' combined Kamehameha. Bio Broly, roaring in defiance, was engulfed and petrified mid-attack, ending his rampage in a frozen scream. Janemba, a bizarre and reality-warping demon, is the main villain in movie 12. Within the Otherworld, a teenage ogre working at King Yema's check-in station was assigned to monitor the soul cleansing machine, a device used to purify the evil from departed souls. However, a malfunction caused the machine to rupture, releasing a concentrated wave of pure, negative energy. The blast transformed the ogre into a monstrous, bloated entity, Janemba's first form, a yellow, childlike behemoth with reality-bending powers. In this state, Janemba possessed an innocent demeanor but wielded terrifying abilities. He distorted space with ease, turning the fabric of reality into a chaotic playground of cubes and portals. Goku, sent from Otherworld to investigate, confronted the creature and was baffled by his opponent's unpredictable, physics-defying techniques. But the true horror surfaced when Janemba was wounded. The damage caused his body to morph, transforming him into his final form, a sleek, devilish warrior wielding a dark energy sword. In this form, Janemba's playful innocence vanished, replaced by silent bloodlust. Faster, stronger, and far more deadly, he overwhelmed Goku with brutal precision. Vegeta, recently deceased and reluctant to fight alongside his longtime rival, intervened, but both Saiyans were individually outmatched by the demon's speed, swordplay, and regeneration. Realizing that neither could win alone, Goku and Vegeta performed the fusion dance, a precise technique that, when executed flawlessly, creates a single warrior far stronger than the sum of its parts. Thus, Gogeta was born, a fusion so powerful that Janemba stood no chance. In a dazzling fury of speed and power, Gogeta dismantled Janemba and purified the evil essence that had corrupted the ogre. Hirudegarn, an ancient, nightmarish monster of mythical proportions, is the final villain in movie 13. Hirudegarn originated from a distant world, Konitz, a peaceful planet once ravaged by the creature's apocalyptic rampage. Created through dark sorcery by the wicked priest Kashvar, Hirudegarn was a two-stage demon summoned to lay waste to civilians and feed off destruction. His power was so immense that the people of Konitz were helpless until a pair of brave warriors, Tapion and his younger brother Minota, volunteered to seal the beast away. Using enchanted ocarinas and magical containment within their own bodies, the two siblings were separated, each holding half of Hirudegarn's essence within themselves. Though the threat was neutralized, the cost was eternal imprisonment. Years later, a mysterious old man named Hoi arrived on Earth, pleading with the Z-Fighters to release Tapion from an enchanted music box, claiming he was a hero who needed help. In truth, Hoi sought to resurrect Hirudegarn by reuniting both halves of the monster. Once Tapion was freed and Hirudegarn's energy began to leak out, Earth became the demon's next target. As Hirudegarn's full form reassembled, he emerged as a colossal, uncontrollable beast. Unlike previous villains, Hirudegarn didn't speak, reason, or gloat. He was chaos incarnate, attacking cities with brute force and teleporting erratically through space with terrifying agility. Even Super Saiyan warriors were powerless against his overwhelming size and unpredictable phasing body. Gotenks, Gohan, and Vegeta fought valiantly, but their attacks were mostly ineffective. It was then that Goku stepped forward and unveiled a new, awe-inspiring technique, the Dragon Fist, a blazing, dragon-shaped attack born from his own spirit. The creature roared one last time before vanishing into nothingness, finally ending the millennia-old terror.